to do some ice cream with me. Solo. Are we on? Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. I hope that you guys are able to spend it with those in your household or maybe socially distanced family members as well. It feels like a bit of a weird one, but that's okay. Hopefully you guys can still hold space for loved ones that you may have lost, and just respect for anybody that has served our country. We are making ice cream today. We had a really, really wonderful summery Sunday yesterday. Asher has now been out of school for a week. And we're planning on kind of doing a little bit of a repeat today. We got a great inflatable pool for the backyard. It's been like 85, 90 degrees here. So we sat in the shade and had a little watermelon margarita while the kids played in the pool yesterday, and then did s'mores by the fire pit, and we grilled hot dogs. It was just really fun. It was kind of that perfect, just carefree summer day with the fam. So we're gonna do it again today. However, instead of s'mores, I'm wanting to make my mint chip, dairy-free, paleo-friendly ice cream that my kids have just been wolfing down since quarantine. I'm pretty sure I have made it at least 15 times since, I think. I mean, it's like almost every week. We go through it so quickly. Honestly, I need a bigger ice cream machine because of how fast we're going through it. All right, so the ingredients are incredibly simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ingredients. So you can follow along and just make this if you don't have a copy of the book. I will tell you what I put in it. But it's from my very first cookbook, Against All Grain. We're on page 282. And before we get started, I also wanted to remind you of my hot fudge sauce that, quite honestly, I had forgotten about. It's one of the most simple but delicious hot fudge sauces. It's coconut milk, cocoa powder, dates, coconut oil, and vanilla. And it's so luxurious on top of ice cream. So make that too if you have the ingredients in hand. We are going to get started. There's a couple of very minor tweaks that I have been doing since we started making this so frequently, and more just for my kids' taste, but also to kind of speed it up a little bit. One thing that I've been doing is simmering the coconut milk. So 1 full fat can of coconut milk, 13.5 ounces. With my fresh mint leaves, about 1/2 cup chopped. I've been simmering them on the stove in advance, letting them steep and get all the flavor in there, and then I actually strain them out, except for maybe a few, just because I found my kids like that flavor a little bit better. In the book, I don't have you do that. It tastes great, I think, with it, but it's a little too earthy, minty for them. And so then I stick it into my blender and put it in the fridge for a few hours just to cool it off. And then all of my other ingredients that I'm gonna be adding are cold. And that way I can go straight from the blender to the ice cream maker without having to let it chill. If you have an electronic ice cream maker that doesn't require you freeze the bowl first, you probably would be okay with that room temperature mixture, but I find that it takes forever to freeze and sometimes doesn't even freeze all the way if my ingredients are on the warmer side. So I've got my steeped coconut milk with mint leaves that I have drained out, and then I'm going to add 2 cups of almond milk. You can totally keep this nut-free and just use all coconut milk. That's completely fine. This is an unsweetened vanilla. I just like the flavor of it, and it's the less expensive one. I keep my more expensive 3 Trees or Malk for my coffee. This is the one I use for my kids, and so that's what goes into this. So let's see if I can read my numbers here on the side. So we're live. Asher's actually here, but off camera, doesn't want to do it today. So please feel free to ask any questions that you have. It's been a week since we've been here, so if you have any questions about things you've been making, let me know. I'd love to hear what you're making for Memorial Day.
I would say Jessica already has a question about your margarita. Your recipe.
Oh, for the watermelon margaritas? No, I have. We just kind of eyeballed it yesterday, but if you go onto my website and take a look at either my cilantro cucumber margaritas or just the regular ones, very similar. We just used fresh watermelon juice that I pureed, and I didn't even have to sweeten it for Ryan. I like it a little sweeter, and then just lime juice and tequila. Oh, for sure. I'm gonna definitely post the recipe. Yeah, I just wanna play with the ratios a tiny bit more. I took some pictures of them yesterday, so we will have them out for you so you can enjoy them all summer long. Look for them on the blog shortly. But if you just want to get creative and start playing around, you just puree a bunch of watermelon until it turns to juice. Fresh squeezed lime juice makes a world of difference. Don't skimp on that. And then tequila, Blanco. What did we use yesterday? We didn't use Blanco because we didn't have it. Añejo. We used Añejo yesterday. Yeah, from Costco, and it was delicious. So really whatever you have on hand is fine. Okay, the ingredient that I just added in might seem a bit odd. It was a half of an avocado, cold from my fridge because I already had it. If you have it room temperature, that's 100% fine. You want about a half a cup diced, which is about a half of an avocado, a larger avocado. So that actually is what I use in this to not only turn it slightly green because it's mint chip ice cream, but it also helps to thicken the ice cream and keep it from getting icy instead of using eggs. And then another part that helps it from getting icy is coconut oil. It's been very hot here, as you can see. So my coconut oil is already kind of melted. It doesn't matter because you're gonna be blending it up, so you could probably add it solid as well. But we need a tablespoon, extra virgin coconut oil. All right, and then our sweeteners. Oh, I guess this is a new, 15-pound pail of honey. We already went through one during quarantine because of all of the margaritas, the marshmallows, and all of the baking. I mentioned s'mores. If you guys follow me on my stories on either Instagram or Facebook, sorry, that was a little difficult. I have been working on a crispy graham cracker for you guys, and we tested it at the fire pit last night with s'mores, and it was
amazing.
It was amazing. Okay, I have to come in front, sorry, to grab a spoon. So I have been recently, it calls for a half a cup of honey. I have been recently doing a bit of maple syrup as well, about a quarter cup or so. I just found that my kids like this on the sweeter side. They're used to the store-bought ice cream. And so this has actually kept us, we haven't bought ice cream one time since quarantine started, which I don't know. The things that the stores were running out at the beginning were kind of funny. Like, I couldn't find ice cream. Anytime we ever wanted to get it, it was always sold out. Yeast, obviously, because everybody's trying to make sourdough. But ice cream was a funny one to me. I guess a lot of people were just wanting the comfort of ice cream when it started. And so, honestly, it kind of kick-started me making it homemade again. I have 3 homemade ice cream recipes in there, dairy-free, all paleo-friendly. And like 6 on my blog, but I haven't really made homemade ice cream in a while. I kind of fell into that trap of just buying the dairy-free kind at the store, which is so expensive, first of all. And second of all, it always has some sort of a filler, binder, stabilizer, like a gum of some sort, guar gum, or sometimes xanthan gum, or I mean, there's just all sorts of different stuff in there. Usually like a sunflower lecithin, and so I just realized I'm like, it's way cheaper to make this at home for the kids fresh and with the ingredients that I know, and I know exactly what's going into it. And it's like half the price. So I've just been doing it now. It's just kind of like second nature. I barely measure anything anymore with this one. All right, so that's about a quarter to a third cup of maple syrup. Usually I will taste it and just kind of see where we're at, and then I go from there. Okay, I'm gonna blend. Are there any other questions before I get noisy?
Yes, there's plenty. So actually, Katie Stefko is asking, is your ice cream maker an updated version of the one you linked on your blog?
So I believe now this is the one that's linked on my blog. I used to use the attachment for my KitchenAid mixer and just really found that it wasn't working very well over time. The bowl wouldn't really freeze that evenly, and then the ice cream would just all get stuck to the outside and it wouldn't freeze the center. And so this is the one I've been using more frequently. It was probably like $50. But it's linked on my blog now. If you just go to shop.againstallgrain.com, you should see it. And I think we gave a shop link on the bottom of this recipe.
Everybody loves your honey. So everybody's asking, where do you get it? This giant bucket of honey.
This giant bucket of honey can double as a bicep curl. No, just kidding. I was the other day. I was like, oh, 15 pounds. So this is from Tropical Traditions, although Ryan said they changed their name. It's called, Healthy Traditions. It's Canadian, it's raw. It's the most beautiful, wonderful honey you will ever taste. It's incredibly light. I don't know if you can see that. This one's got sometimes it just depends on the weather, but sometimes it comes a little bit more soft and creamy. But this is great. You can also like soak this in a bowl of, or it needs to be like a bucket of warm water to kind of loosen it up. But I have been using this honey in my recipes consistently for a decade. It's my favorite. And so I just get these huge pails because it's cheaper that way. But it's delicious. It should be linked, yeah?
Sorry, yes.
Okay, so on Facebook, if you just hit that shop the recipe, you'll see it there. On Instagram, there's a couple places you can find it. It's in the shop highlight on my main page, and then if not, just go to shop.againstallgrain.com and you'll see it there. And if you can just buy it straight from there. I always tell you this to you guys, but shopping through our links does provide a small commission to us and doesn't charge you guys anything extra, so we always appreciate you going through our links. That would be amazing. But yes, it's incredible. Definitely use it for margaritas, for honey syrup. Definitely use it for your marshmallows. It just has a very mild flavor that doesn't overpower and make everything you make taste like honey. But you can also find, I mean, I've bought, there's another one on my website that's from Amazon. Just really, honestly, the lighter in color, the better. And I think the creamier and the like raw honey is best. So, okay, I'm gonna blend and then I'll answer more questions.
Great.
Should we get unplugged? Nope. Boop. Okay, so this, so the next thing is peppermint extract. I wouldn't say that's optional. You definitely want to try to put that in there if you can. It just gives it a nice extra pepperminty flavor on top of the mint leaves. So 3/4 teaspoon of peppermint extract. And then this last step is optional. I wanted to make it green for the kids because when you go out and get ice cream, a lot of times your mint chip is green, even though it really shouldn't be, because they use food coloring in there. So instead of food coloring, I use liquid chlorophyll, which actually most of the ones that you're gonna find have peppermint oil in it anyway, so it kind of just adds a really nice extra peppermint flavor. But it's green, naturally green, and so about 10 drops or so, and it'll turn your ice cream green. Again, it's completely optional. It already does have a bit of a green hue because of the avocado and the mint leaves, but it's kind of more of like a greenish brown, and so I like to do this just to make it be a really pretty color. Oh, don't want that blowing up in my face.
Someone's asking about peppermint essential oil.
Yeah, you can totally use that. Most of these have peppermint essential oil in them already. I don't honestly know the ins and outs of cooking with essential oils, so if you do and you know that that's safe, then great. All right, so we're good to go. So at this step, by the way, a lot of times if I know I'm gonna be making this, but I don't have time to freeze it, or I forgot to put my ice cream bowl into the freezer, I will just throw the blender into the fridge and it can just sit there for a day or so. And it'll be really nice and cold when you put it into your ice cream maker, which helps it freeze faster. So that's an option too, just in terms of like getting something out of the way. Also, tell me while we're viewing here, for those of you on Facebook that can actually talk to me on Instagram. Oh, you can talk to me on Instagram too. Yeah. Tell me what your favorite ice cream flavor is, because I have a ton of ice cream recipes, like I mentioned, but there's a lot of flavors I haven't done yet. So I want to hear what your favorite is, because I'm kind of on an ice cream making kick right now. So I will take your favorites and turn them into new recipes at some point. I know I have to make a strawberry for Kezia because she loves anything pink, and she's asked for strawberry ice cream cake, a strawberry ice cream cake for her birthday. So that's on my list. I want to do, I don't know if you guys saw my thin mint cookie ice cream that we did at the very beginning of all of this, probably like on March 12th or something like that. That's delicious, and it made me think I really want to take my Samoa cookies that are on the blog and do like a salted caramel ice cream with those chopped up in it. I think that would be incredible. But yeah, tell me if there's any other flavors that you love.
Chocolate chip chocolate, that's great. With almond fudge, salted caramel.
Yep.
Chocolate peanut butter.
I have a chocolate peanut butter on the blog.
Tiger tail. I don't know tiger tail.
I don't either.
Matcha tea and
Ooh, that sounds good.
Pecan pralines.
Yum. I'm like, so many of my ice cream recipes would totally work, and you could just kind of get a little bit creative. I have a very basic vanilla ice cream in here that you could add salted caramel to, and it would be incredible. There's a lot that you could do. I think you could even take my salted caramel panna cotta that's in Celebrations and freeze it and make a salted caramel ice cream that way. But yeah, you can definitely get creative. What was the one that was, I used to love? Something turtle. And then moose tracks? No.
Where are you getting these ice creams?
I don't know. I'm making them up maybe in my head. I don't know. Maybe people can confirm that I'm not crazy. Okay, every ice cream maker is going to be different. Mine requires that you freeze the bowl. I like to at least have it in the freezer for 48 hours and get it to the back of your freezer. I just feel like it freezes better there. And then again, I think that the more chilled your mixture is, the easier it's going to be for it to freeze. And then we'll add our chocolate chips at the very end. This is going to take about 5 to 6 minutes. I won't make you guys sit and watch it forever, but keep asking me questions while I chop up some chocolate.
So moose tracks is real.
Ha!
It's Canadian.
I knew it. Had it. It's caramel. It's like caramel and chocolate clusters or something. I'm like, and it had like a fudge ribbon throughout.
Okay, so here's the question. Katie Stark is wondering what's wrong with the binders and gums that are in the store-bought ice cream.
So, you know, I'm like, does that almond milk might even have some? Oh, it does, yeah. So if I was making this for only me to eat, I would totally use this, by the way. This is, or make your own. The most simple almond milk. It's just almonds, vanilla beans, and water. This is gonna be your cleanest, no gums. Then you would have no gums in the coconut milk, nothing. So it really depends. You can read about it on my blog, on my vanilla coffee creamer blog post. I talk all about the different things that can be added. Carrageenan is one of them that I would definitely stay away from. And then all the gums, so gellan gum, locust bean gum, all of those. First of all, a lot of them are derived from legumes, and a lot of people have digestive distress with those, and they're just a bit harder to break down. They are in pretty minuscule amounts, but we just as a family notice that they just are not fun on our digestion, so we just try to avoid them. So I think it just depends on what you can tolerate. But yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing, is just digestive upset. That's what I was looking for. Okay, in terms of chocolate, again, I don't waste the good stuff always on my kids. Not waste. They're lovely human beings, but they don't appreciate a $12 bag of Hue chocolate gems. But if you want to keep this all free of refined sugars and all 100% paleo, these are incredible. They're just cacao, coconut sugar, and cocoa butter. I like to use these for the kids. Still dark chocolate, still dairy-free, still soy-free, but does use regular sugar. But they're like 63% cacao, so a little bit lower on the sugar scale. They're delicious. You don't have to chop them up, but I like chopping them because I just feel like it's nice to kind of have the smaller bites throughout. You can use mini chips if you want. You can also take a bar of Hue chocolate, chop that up and throw it in. Really whatever you want, honestly. Questions while I do this?
Yeah. So, Crafty Hostess is wondering what you think of agave as sweetener.
I don't use it. It's heavily processed, and it actually has more fructose in it than table sugar. So I don't use it ever.
And then Ed is wondering if there any substitute avocado.
Yeah, I mean, so the avocado is just meant to make it creamy, so you can totally leave it out completely. But what I would probably do is either do a half of a banana, or maybe even a whole banana, just depending on the size. Or I would bloom a teaspoon or so, teaspoon and a half of gelatin in water, and then melt it with your coconut milk. That'll help too. And then the other option is kind of your traditional custard, which is putting egg yolks into it. But you do have to temper those. So maybe take a look at one of my other recipes that uses eggs if that's what you want to do.
Also, some people on Facebook can't hear questions.
Oh, yeah, it's really loud too. That question was, if you can't have avocados, what would you substitute? So the first brand of chocolate is the Hue chocolate gems. And then this is my favorite. It does use regular sugar, but Guittard, dark chocolate. These are 63%. They are my all-time favorite. They literally, I think, have the most delicious chocolate flavor. We used to be really big fans of Scharfenberger chocolate. I don't know if anybody remembers it. It was Ryan's, like, it was his vice. Anything that was made with Scharfenberger, he would devour. And this is my favorite since that has been gone. We can't find it anymore. And they're a local Bay Area company too, female owned and run, which I love. And so I love to support them. All right. So I just kind of roughly chop these. I like to kind of cut most of them in half, but if there's a few whole ones, it's kind of like finding the jackpot. And this is not ready yet. Yeah, I can, it's very loud. Anybody has a ice cream machine that they love that's a more quiet churn, I'd be happy to take suggestions. I actually am in the market for one that you don't have to freeze the bowl, only because I never have the room in my freezer for it, and I always forget. And so I've actually, just because of quarantine, because of how much we've been making this, should I like put it over on the opposite counter?
Yeah, you don't need it.
Well, no, I was gonna show people how to put the chocolate in, but I don't think we'll be ready to go, so let's just do this. Actually, we'll come way over here.
Gator gal, I was wondering if your daughter can't have almonds, is there anything substitute for that?
Yes, so you can just use all coconut milk if you can't have almonds, or cashew milk would be really good. Creamy, homemade cashew milk would make this delicious as well. What I was thinking about ice cream makers, I'm in the market for one. They're bigger and they're a lot more expensive, but the ones that are fully electronic that you don't have to pre-freeze the bowl, I think that's gonna be my next upgrade because we've been making this so much. I just have been keeping the bowl in the freezer all the time. But this is a 1.5 quart, and quite honestly, I wish I could get like I haven't seen one, but I wish I could get like a 4 quart because we go through it so much. But I think the biggest that I've found is a 2 quart, so that might be what I get next.
And then what about, can you get back to the KitchenAid ice cream attachment?
Yes, what about the KitchenAid ice cream attachment though?
Just have your thoughts on it, because you had already mentioned it, but Lauren's wondering if you have any experience with it.
Yeah, I don't like it anymore. You can go back and listen to
Repeat the question.
the KitchenAid ice cream attachment. I talked about it earlier in the video, so if you missed it, just go back and rewind and you can hear my thoughts on it. I've definitely enjoyed this one. It's a Cuisinart and it's linked. So, okay, I'll take a couple more questions, but it's unfortunately I can't show you what it's like done. What I will do is come back on stories. As soon as it starts to leave kind of a track from the churner, that's usually when I'll add my toppings in right at the end. And then you'll just put it out into a dish. And I like to cover it right on the surface with plastic wrap. I just think it helps keep condensation from happening and it keeps the ice cream from getting really icy. And then if it's a Tupperware that has a tight fitting lid, I always put that on as well on top. And then you freeze it. You can eat it at the soft stirred stage. The kids usually can't wait, so I always dish them out a little bowl of it. And then I would freeze it for about 3 to 4 hours, and then you can start to scoop it. And this one honestly scoops pretty easily straight from the freezer. Some dairy-free ice creams you kind of have to defrost on the counter for about 15 minutes or so to loosen them up a little bit, but this one's pretty easy to just scoop right out, maybe 5 minutes or so at room temperature. Any other questions?
Yeah, no. So Beatrice was actually wondering, not based on this recipe, but do you like stout or the late rosé?
Oh, honestly, I don't really have a preference. I like my Le Creuset that are enameled on the inside. I just think they're easier to clean up. I love my Staubs for like the cast iron. I really like them all, to be really honest. I do love the colors of the Staubs better. They just are a little bit more earthy and kind of my style. But honestly, I've got a combo of both and I love them both. So really quick before I take the next question, just in case you came late, what I was mentioning is that if you are gonna make this ice cream or the vanilla in this book, or there's also a chocolate peanut butter in this book too, this incredibly easy 4-ingredient hot fudge, 5-ingredient if you count the vanilla, hot fudge is so good over it and it lasts in your fridge for like at least a couple of weeks. You just reheat it, it's delicious. I actually completely forgot about the recipe because this book is, how many years old is this book? 2000? 2013.
Oh, 7.
Yeah, 7 years old. So sometimes I forget about the recipes, like this mint chip. I don't think we had made it in probably 5 or 6 years before quarantine, but then Asher was asking to buy mint chip at the grocery store and they were always sold out. And so I was like, I have a recipe for it. He was a bit skeptical at first, and then he's become obsessed with it. And now he makes it with me most of the time and can do it on his own too, because it's so easy. 1 or 2 more questions and then we'll sign off.
Yeah, so can you talk again about how you're storing it? Like, where do you store it in? Do you just use plastic?
Yeah. So I usually just use well, I don't have it in there. My favorite is a container that's shaped kind of like a loaf pan, more just because I feel like it freezes more evenly, and then you kind of want a little bit of a deeper pan so that you can really get your ice cream scoop in there. So this is the one I've been using most often. This one is 1.8 liters, 8 cups. It usually fits that 1.5 quart kind of perfectly in here once it freezes and expands a bit. And then I cover it straight on the surface of the ice cream with plastic wrap. It's still gonna be somewhat soft when you put it in the freezer. So just press that plastic wrap down, and then I usually put the lid on this and put it in your freezer. But a standard loaf pan, like a metal loaf pan, works just fine as well. Really, honestly, it's whatever you have. I just wouldn't use like a big dish, because then your ice cream is gonna be really thin and you won't be able to get like a full ice cream scoop out.
2 more questions.
Okay.
Several people have questions about frozen avocados.
Oh, yeah, actually, I would totally use frozen in this if you have them.
Don't talk about it.
I don't even notice that I'm like, I've just put a chocolate piece in my mouth. Sorry. Frozen avocados. I would use frozen if you have it frozen in dice. That'll just make the mixture cold and will thicken it and make it easier to freeze. So either one, fresh or frozen. Mine was from the fridge. Doesn't really matter. The only thing I wouldn't do is use like a browned avocado, because it'll make your mixture gross looking. Anything else?
Another question is, I lost it. Hold on. Oh, B is asking, when do you have the chocolate?
Oh, yeah, so once it gets to the frozen stage. So just rewind this video, I talk about the exact thing you're looking for when I add all the toppings. Anything else?
People are, this machine is too loud.
It's so loud, so loud. It's louder than like my blender and mixer. I feel like you can normally hear me over that, but that thing is super loud. Once we turn it off,
It's annoying loud.
it's really annoying. I need to find a less loud one. So if anybody has tips, let me know. I'm looking at the Breville, and I'm looking at one by Winter. I've been comparing them and eyeing them on Amazon for a while, but I haven't done it yet. We'll see. Okay, so we'll be back on Wednesday. We're back to our normal schedule, Monday, Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific. Yeah, that's it. Have a wonderful Memorial Day. I hope you guys are cooking all sorts of things. If you are and you're making my recipes from celebrations or any recipes, make sure you tag me at Danielle Walker or at Against All Grain and use the hashtag Against All Grain so that I can see it. Or if you want to use the hashtag from whatever cookbook you're using too. But I love looking the day after holidays and seeing everything you guys have made. So enjoy your day with your family. Hopefully you guys can be outside and you have good weather. We're gonna make some more of those watermelon margaritas at some point today, and we're gonna barbecue and let the kids play out in the inflatable pool. So, all right guys, see y'all later. Thanks for being here.